Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Leo, November 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. Now, we're going to use a deck called the William Blake Tarot. William Blake was an Englishman who was born in about the middle of the 1700s and died around about 1820, I think. He was, in my estimation, a poetic genius up there in the same caliber as Shakespeare himself, as far as I'm concerned. He was also very mystical. He was a great mystic, and the mystical attributes that he carried within him expressed themselves in particular through his poetry and in the artwork that we see in this deck here. As a consequence, I might use my pen to point out some of the things that I find interesting that's in the artwork that's here. Of course, because it's such a mystical artwork, you're free to interpret the image however you want, and what I give you might be a good suggestion, or you might actually even be able to build upon it. That's the whole thing, because it's a very creative deck, this. It's one which invigorates the creative impulse within you, and you of all people have that creative impulse within you, don't you? So I think you are going to find this rather interesting. Of course, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype and WhatsApp as well from different countries. And the other thing I've also done are healings for people from different countries around the world as well over FaceTime and Skype. Now, information about those things is contained in the description below. Now, healing, I was given the spiritual gift of healing as a child, when I was born, or probably when I was conceived, on the basis that I get nothing in return from it. So healing is free, and I'm glad to provide it to you. Well, I don't say I provide it to you. I am the vehicle through which it comes, you understand. It doesn't come from me, it comes through me. Readings, of course, I have to charge for. But when you have finished viewing this video, why don't you have a look at the description, and in particular have a look at the web link that's there. It's got the fees for readings in it in different currencies, but there's a lot of interesting things there that you might find fascinating, I hope, as well. Anyway, let's get the cards underway for you now. The highly talented and attractive Leo. There is the Ten of Music. You see, music, painting, science, and poetry are the suits here, and they're the ways in which there's magic. They're the ways in which the divine expresses itself through people, are they not? There's the Angel of Music, the Ten of Music and the Angel of Music. Here we have the Eight of Science, and finally, something from down here, there is the Angel of Science. Most interesting. Well, as is our usual practice, come, sit down here next to me. You and I can just feast upon these images together while I do the reading for you. Let's have a look first. There's a major arcana, and it is this, so let's have a look at it first, shall we? And see what you can obtain from this picture that's here. Well, this represents the first worldly state, when the spirit has come down into earthly flesh, and in which the soul discovers the outer or the celestial energies and learns how to channel and transform them into the energies of earthly existence itself. Now, the Magus, from magic, the Magus, that's actually Persian or Iranian for mighty one. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is very Egyptian, this dog head that's here. This suggests to me the Egyptian god Anubis and his feet straddling the Nile River. That's there. And he is channeling the celestial energies down to earth from up here, which is Sirius, known as the dog star by us generally. But it was called Sothis by the Egyptians in the old days. Now, the ancient Egyptians revered the star of Sothis or Sirius because its movements signaled the flood of the Nile River. And actually, they became the basis of the Egyptian calendar. Now, traditionally, this card depicts the Hermetic saying, as above, so below. And here it becomes literal, as both the star and the river, Sothis and Sothis, they bear the same name, don't they? And it also defines duality. So your spirit has come into flesh, and now you understand where it was unified with everything, but now you see differences, you see duality, which is matter in time. And I think these pyramids at the right-hand side here, two of them, they symbolize this duality, I think. Now in the background here, we see here this god, well, this is the Roman god of Jupiter, who was the god of rain and thunderbolts. And he represents the fertilization of the earth around the Nile, which was the source of life. And to his left here, there is what I would take to be the rattle of Isis on the left here. And it represents the vibration of the energy of life. And there's, you might make them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, for the 4 suits of the tarot, I suppose. They represent all the elements that the Magus needs to make things happen. Now in the border, there is a ram and a bull here, and they represent primal masculine energy associated with magic, while the ram's head on the altar that you can see here, this ram's head, well, I think what that does is it implies pagan sacrifices required to release the forces related to this card. Now the fire, which is below the waters of time, creates the alchemical clouds, if you like, which rise up here. And that represents the spiritual body of you. And this thing here, this red thing, that looks like the roof of a tent, as it would have been back then. And it is sitting beneath the clouds, and it encloses this world of matter and blocking the view of the true spiritual reality. Now, what I'm receiving from this is that this Magus here doesn't hold on to his inspired creative force. He processes it and releases it into the world like a lightning rod. That's what you must do. Now, his divine inspiration really does sit well with his life force, and the combined energy flows through him and out into the world, manifesting wonderful creations. Now, he shares the divine connection with all, and awaits for the next bolt of creative inspiration to come through and ignite his imagination and life force. Now, this is a process that produces great achievements on an individual level for you as you practice the creative process of the magic, I suppose, of this Magus. You become more connected to your inner self and the universal forces, creating good for you and for other people. And I think what this does is it represents the visionary in you and the potential that is possible. Now, this wants you to pay attention to that flash of insight or inspiration and to act upon it. Now, this is bringing with it for you this month excitement that activates your life force with commitment, focus, and willpower. Now, he knows what we might call miracles are possible and do happen. And he encourages you to gather your vitality and energy, to work with your magic, to turn your life around and create new goals. You are the Magus. You are constantly creating your life. You are constantly living your destiny and creating it, whether you are doing it consciously or not. And he prompts you to create consciously with the light of love in your heart. So claim your power now. Open your communication between spirit and matter. Feel the force and strength that flashes like a shooting star of inspiration. And communicate your intentions clearly to other people. Direct it to your world and let it blossom into its full potential. Stretch your hands up into the heavens. Be the inspired conduit. Set your intention and manifest your dreams. Let's work down that diagonal, shall we, and have a look next at this angel of music. I've got a feeling that the image here is actually bringing up something which is quite distinct from what the painting might otherwise suggest. But here we have like an angel really, which is holding two trumpets. One's going off that direction and that's the one going in the other direction. Do you know that trumpets were anciently used to herald the new and the full moons? And that associates this angel with the moon and the emotions, I suppose. And there are trailing flames of compassion coming from it. And the angel touches down into the world using its right foot. You see this here? That's the spiritual side, the right side that's there. Now, he's crowned, or she is crowned by not Sirius this time, like in the other one, but a single star of intellectual inspiration. Its spiritual vision is directed upward to heaven. Now, these domes that are here, like pyramid forms and different spires and things, well, I would associate them with the city of London in England, which the poet William Blake spent a lot of his time, and I think he probably did associate this suit with the city of London itself, as it so happens. Now, what this angel is bringing is divine forgiveness, bringing the blessings of artistic sensibility. Now, at its right, this is a shooting star going upwards, and that signals a crack in the firmament, as it would have been in the old days, the heavens through which angelic energies can appear. And it's also a sign, I think, maybe of perhaps you could have some psychic awareness with this card. Do you know, I really see this angel here as being, well, equivalent to, or maybe even a metaphor, or even a depiction of the Archangel Gabriel, because those energies are the same. This angel of music and that Archangel energy is very much the same. Gabriel speaks to your heart. Gabriel assists in channeling and in prophetic dreams, so pay attention to your dreams at this time. Gabriel symbolizes feelings and the power of love. Now, his element is water, and Gabriel is also the messenger of love from the divine to you. Now, when this energy comes into your life, it could indicate, I think, a journey over water. Or you may have a spiritual calling to take a journey or a trip to some sacred place, and he brings romantic love. He can represent the coming or the going of emotions. And he asks you to follow your heart and listen to the messengers in your dreams. He indicates psychic abilities, prophetic dreams, and even out-of-body experiences. It's a time to trust and exercise your intuitive thoughts and ideas into your life. Maybe you might want to think about exploring your creativity through the arts or through artistic pursuits like cooking or decorating, things like that. Now, this is inspiring you to open your heart chakra. This angel is encouraging you to pray, to meditate, connecting the energies of the heart with your higher self. And I do get really much the feeling of romance and sexuality around here. It's a highly sexualized energy, love and kindness. As well, perhaps as the beginning of a new relationship, interesting new experiences and proposals. This is asking you to honor the true path of your heart. So have an open and courageous heart that is compassionate. Now that takes us then next to where? To this Eight of Science. What is going on here? Let's have a look. And what we have here is that there's some fellow, an older fellow, but of course these can be of either gender, these depictions here, you realize this, but this is someone who's reached a state of dismal woe, manacled by his own abstract thoughts. Now his eyes are closed, and that signifies that he exists in spiritual darkness. He has become in chains of the mind, locked up. His limbs are contracted into his torso, aren't they? Making him into a sort of an aged fetus. His wisdom is imprisoned within his own dogmatic views of the world. Even so, the intellectual light and the creative fire of the eternal mind, they still radiate out from the figure's head. So maybe distrusting your own power, you might have willingly accepted obstacles and interference to avoid the potential consequences of your actions, or perhaps you are restricted by circumstances for the purpose of concentrating, which takes you away from thinking about spiritual matters. Now, the closed eyes indicate a focus upon an inner reality. Now, eventually, the energy of applied imagination, because this is very much the deck of the artist, as we see here. Well, imagination can break the bonds of materialism, as shown by the exploding matter in the background there. So use your ingenuity and intuition rather than brute force to liberate yourself from problems. Now, astrologically, I have Mars in the third decan of Pisces. Now, you might think that that is a problem because fiery, aggressive Mars in the third or the last decan of Pisces. Well, it's actually really good because notwithstanding what you might be thinking about things and having some sort of doubts or can't make your mind up about things, there is a Martian energy, the Mars energy, the martial energy, probably better expressed, is pushing you forward. Now, why might I see Mars in the third decan of Pisces? Because that energy is needed to push into the next sign of the zodiac, which is the first decan of Aries, the first of spring. It needs that extra. Mars is in the first decan of Aries, so you need that double Mars energy to push into the zodiac forward, and you will have that great energy yourself. Now, when this energy comes slashing into your life, maybe you begin to experience indecision and restricted thinking that block your energy to progress forward. Now, the experience can bring lack of direction, conflicting thoughts, and repeating mental tape with no plan or solution in sight. Now, confusion coupled with the absence of self-confidence can create a feeling of vulnerability and fear, can't it? And this is kind of talking about some sort of mental state that has just left you stagnant. Well, the key here is to take the time needed to review what put you in your present situation so that you can regain your mental balance. The gift of this energy is seeing life in a broader spectrum of understanding and clarity. Now, the path of this energy, I think, is leading you to a place where there is a need to quiet your mind. It's not really the time to make an important decision, I don't think. Rather, it's a time to regroup and reconnect to your inner power and your spiritual intellect. And the mind and your heart need to regain balance. And again, I say it again because it works. Prayer, meditation, even taking time to walk in nature, they'll begin to ease the chatter that's going on in your mind. Obstacles, fears, blocks, well, they're all lessons that we all experience on our path. Recognize what is holding you back. Now, Pisces is ruled by the sign of Jupiter here. Jupiter is the great benefic. Now I've got Mars coming into Pisces, but Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the great benefic. It is the planet that bestows you with luck, opportunity, expansion, and it brings good solutions to you. Now what we have here is that on your path to self-discovery, you maybe will be faced with test after test to awaken your true self, which is empowering you to go past life's constant interferences and blocks. Take the time out. Let Jupiter come in and bring its energy in to sort out things in your mind and to clear your mind so you can start making correct decisions which benefit you, as you will do. I can see it in these other cards that are here. And I think that this brings an opportunity to see life from an expanded view now and a clear perspective. If there is a need for guidance, just ask. And you know what? If ever I have a problem, I give it to God. You might think that that's strange, but I say, look, I can't do this by myself. Help me, show me what to do. And sure enough, within a day or two, and in the most unexpected way, the answer always comes. Because if you just ask, or even ask someone else to help you, sometimes the answer is just so simple. Well, what's on that horizontal that's there? Let's have a look. And it is this card, which is the Angel of Science. Gee, I'm getting a lot of Aquarius and a lot of Capricorn around here. So they're going to be important to you, I would say. Well, the figure is quite straightforward, but let me put it in this. We have a whole lot of clouds and a building up. Now, the angel here, look, I would say it is just this border of white that's going around there. It's actually not even in form. The angel isn't even in form. And the building that's there, quis basin demonstratit. Well, my schoolboy Latin tells me that who can prove the structure, that's what it's saying, so who can show that this structure is there? The question is there actually a structure there, or is everything just tied up in the air? Everything's tied up in the air is what I'm getting here. Now this could well be a young man, but of course as an angel it might also be a female who is really quite intellectual in bent. Someone who's full of ideas and plans, very clever, but maybe unstable. Someone who could be quite domineering, I think, elusive, hard to pin down. And somebody who's very impressionable. Other people can make a very strong impression on them. Events can make a strong impression on them, which they take on without giving them any critical thought. But for you, I think what we have here is a great degree of intuition with you, creative thinking, and cutting through all of the entanglements, becoming free of limited ideas and models, and now a clear perception going forward. There is here, though, a lot of air, but not really any particular plans, and it may well be that in some respect you think that, look, you've got some forward motion, but the forward motion just might be accidental without you necessarily saying, this is where I want to go, this is where I want to end up, and this is how I'm going to get to it. Do you understand what I mean? I get the feeling here of an energy of somebody who creates what they, and then destroy what they create to produce something else because they think the other thing is better. Somebody who moves from one idea to another on the basis that any of the ideas are just as good as any other idea. And this other person could also be around here that you see that they're not really grounded in anything. And they rarely come up with anything that's fruitful. There's a lot of activity, but not a lot of productivity. Do you know what I mean? A lot of activity, but not a lot of results. So I think what this is certainly is coming through here, the thoughts that you are going to be very good at creating ideas quickly. But be careful that you don't move on without developing them and really assessing them. You'll have a very strong intellect. In fact, you'll be so bright and and brainy, to put it that way, that you might find that other people won't be able to keep up with you. They'll be drained by your intellect. You'll be very independent, I think, private, maybe difficult to get to know in some respect. And some people may find that you have a lack of emotional warmth and empathy, but that's not the case with you. I think it's because you probably have a need to slow down and analyze your thoughts to see if something practical can be gained from them. So free yourself from whatever limits your mind and spirit. Be sure that you express your ideas and plans in ways that other people will understand, and accept their opinions humbly. Can you do that? Humbly accept other people's opinions? Now, it also may be the case that your thinking may be way ahead of its time, but I think you can adjust to make your vision workable in the present without sacrificing anything. Now, what beliefs, feelings, relationships, or programmed ideas do you allow to limit yourself? And say to yourself, my creative possibilities have no limits, but they do need to be grounded. And then a big finish, it looks like, with this 10 of Cups that's up here. Now, the picture itself is really quite straightforward. I'm really getting the sense of Aphrodite around here, which is the goddess of love, particularly because of these, like what do you call these things? These hand drums that everybody's playing. Lots of love also, because here is Cupid with his bow, and this very phallic symbol that is there. I think that the star up there is shining down brightly upon you. And notice how everybody is above the ground. That's there. A great degree of sexuality, romance, happiness around here. You know, this is really one of the most joyful and happiest energies that you can get. There is deep love and contentment radiating from within you. Wealth on all levels, material, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual, is really being felt, I think. You are walking your soul path in the correct way. Now, the key to this energy is self-love and finding your inner grail of fulfillment. And this brings you great gratitude for all things in life, this energy. You feel as though you have returned to your true home. And the gift of this energy is happiness and fulfillment. Now, when this 10 here shines like the star on your life, good fortune and success have found you. It brings celebration of the goodness and that love you have been blessed with. So dance, sing, laugh. This 10 is about living life passionately with wisdom, sexuality, and love in balance. Happy days are here. This is bringing you good family ties, I think, certainly good friendships, and committed relationships are going to deepen. Very good energy for the start of new passionate relationships here. Now, you have learned how acts of love can heal and fulfill, and how misguided love can deeply hurt, haven't you? Embrace and respect nature and the beautiful environment around you, and share your spiritual and material wealth with those less fortunate than you are. You feel extremely blessed with well-being at this time. The perfect work and prosperity. Living by your true values is what you'll be doing.
Well, I told you that was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I think you'll agree with me that it was. And what a wonderful month it's going to be for you. Don't you deserve it? Really, you do. Do you know what? I love doing your readings. I look forward to seeing you each month, and in particular, look forward to seeing the subscribers. You're very, very dear to my heart. Well, I guess unless I see you privately, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.